There is a company that generated revenue worth $25.632 billion in June 2022. A company in collaboration with the Kraft Food Group, about to create the third largest food and beverage company in North America, one that boasts of being the largest producer of pickles, ketchup and vinegar in the US. They invest billions of dollars in advertising campaigns to creep more profoundly into your everyday life. How did this company begin and flourish? What is their strategy to rule over the world market? Will their merger with other food companies prove profitable? Let's explore how this company climbed the ladder of success and became a famous brand worldwide. Make sure to stick to the end of the video as we have a lot to cover. Let's dive right in. Henry J. Heinz established the H.J. Heinz Company in Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania in 1869 and started small-scale food packaging. Along with his friend L. Clarence Noble, Henry founded Heinz Noble and Company and began selling horseradish. The business failed in 1875, but Heinz, his brother John, and a relative named Frederick Heinz formed another business called F&J Heinz. One of this company's first products was tomato ketchup. As the business grew, Heinz bought out his other two partners in 1888 and changed the name to H.J. Heinz Company. Heinz first used the phrase 57 varieties in 1896. Heinz was inspired by a shoe store's 21 Styles commercial he saw while riding an elevated train in New York City, and he chose the number 7 primarily because of its enduring relevance to people of all ages. Heinz chose the number more or less at random because he liked the sound of it. Heinz was a skilled marketer of his products as well, and in 1900 he erected a big electric sign in New York City to promote the relishes, condiments and pickles produced by his company. Heinz was one of the few food producers to endorse a federal Pure Food Act, making him a progressive employer for his time. Members of the Heinz family headed the corporation until 1969. Henry J. Heinz and his eponymous career had achieved great success, and that is because of their perseverance, immovability, and persistence. Henry Heinz built the H.J. Heinz Company, a $10 billion Fortune 500 company today, from humble origins as a small-town horseradish manufacturer in 1869, by fusing his entrepreneurial energy with creative advertising. The Heinz Company, which has its global headquarters in Pittsburgh Northside, puts happiness into every jar of pickles, a bottle of vinegar, and ketchup it sells annually. Heinz added apple butter, pepper sauce, and minced beef recipes as part of his ongoing effort to diversify the company's product offering. Due to his effective management, Henry J. Heinz became known as the company's face when it changed the name to H.J. Heinz Company. Here I quote an incident that marks the company's success. 1893 World's Columbian Exposition was held in Chicago on the second floor of the Agricultural Building, a flight of stairs above foreign and imported food products. Many people would enter the building but hardly ever went up the stairway. Heinz found a solution to this problem by hiring young boys to distribute white promise cards that could be redeemed for free souvenirs at the business exhibit. The souvenir was a green gutta percha pickle, 1 1/4 inches long, bearing the name Heinz and attached with a hook to serve as a charm on a watch chain, as Robert C. Alberts writes in The Good Provider. The strategy was immediately successful because the business distributed over 1 million pickle watch charms. Heinz has always relied on dazzling, enchanting, and unique advertisements to lure the public. I would not be wrong if I said these ads had been pivotal in taking the company to heights. The tomato ketchup advertisements highlight foods often associated with Tommy K, and rely on well-known brand cues to ensure that viewers immediately recognise the product. Heinz definitely has the skills to pull off this daring approach. The striking advertisements, which rely on the brand's recognition in advertising and consumer spaces, are the work of the Canadian advertising agency Rethink. And Rethink had already established Heinz's case in this regard. One of the most well-known and cherished brand slogans is "The beans means Heinz," first used in 1967. The commercial genuinely helped the product to become famous. Heinz tomato ketchup sought to communicate its brand slogan, "The taste that grabs you," in a distinctive way that would catch the audience's attention. Ingeniously, Kraft Heinz and digital firm Foxy Moron discovered a way around this by utilising a funny strategy to stimulate interest and keep viewers captivated. The Heinz Ketchup label on the tomato clarifies that the sliced tomato is not just a tomato, but is also a representation of ketchup. I think the title eliminates any confusion about what the advertisement is trying to say. The ad is not just promoting the ketchup, but also the brand itself. Henry Heinz devised one of the most unique yet enigmatic food marketing initiatives. The Heinz 57 Varieties campaign, while constructing the Heinz Co headquarters from 1890 to 1898, Soon after hearing the slogan, people started speculating about the number 57. The idea behind the 57 varieties is to give an idea of genuineness and timelessness. The number 57 has a lot of hypotheses behind it. Some say that the number 5 was the originator's lucky number, and the number 7 was his wife's. Although many people felt that 57 must represent the total number of varieties Heinz Co. delivered in 1892. This story is incorrect, since the company accumulated over 60 types at the launch. Instead, while Henry Heinz was travelling in a New York elevated train and saw advertising for 21 styles of shoes, the phrase 57 varieties came to him. He noticed how it affected him and concluded that a Heinz commercial with a number would have the same impact. After much deliberation, the best choice came to mind, and 57 was the ideal fit. Heinz wrote in his diary, "The idea gripped me at once, and I jumped off the train at the 28th Street station and began the work of laying out my advertising plans. Within a week, the sign of the green pickle with the 57 varieties appeared in newspapers, billboards, signboards, and everywhere else I could find a place to stick it." The Heinz company and the number 57 have been linked since the introduction of the slogan. Heinz is one of the most favoured brands of ketchup in North America and Europe. People occasionally refuse to eat snacks if they have not been served Heinz Ketchup. But if you look at the ingredients label, you will know that it's unhealthy and can be pretty harmful to consume in moderate quantities. If you're unfamiliar with how ingredient labels work, they list ingredients in descending order of how prevalent they are in the product. In this ketchup, the most pervasive element is tomato concentrate from ripe red tomatoes, which is followed by distilled vinegar, high fructose corn syrup, etc. A minor portion of the total amount of ingredients comprises salt, spices, onion powder, and natural flavouring. The confusion arises from the fact that high fructose corn syrup and corn syrup are the same. So why does Heinz include a second designation of corn syrup on the label? High fructose corn syrup, HFCS, has been getting a bad name in the last few decades. Corn syrup is no healthier than HFCS, and there is no reason to separate the two. Separating them could be because when we split in two, ingredients will be lower on the ingredient label and can fool consumers into thinking there's less of it. There is also more in the ingredients list that make it fishy. They use distilled vinegar, as stated on the label. Guess where most of the vinegar used in these processed meals is produced? Genetically altered corn. In what should be tomato-based ketchup, we already have 3 corn-based ingredients: high fructose corn syrup, or HFCS, corn syrup, and distilled vinegar. The final words on the label are salt, spice, onion powder, natural flavouring. The salt they use is the cheapest, which raises blood pressure and causes mineral imbalances, or high sodium in the blood, which can result in various health issues when consumed frequently. The label continues, using the confusing term natural flavours. There is no fibre or protein, but there is a lot of sodium and sugar if we look at the remainder of the Heinz label. Where is the sugar produced? The best guess is the natural flavour. Considering that 1 tablespoon only accounts for 7% of your recommended daily sodium intake, 4 little spoons put you at 28%. While the total does not add up rapidly, the actual issue is that even just 1 condiment contains a significant amount of the recommended daily sodium intake, not to mention the food it serves. You already exceed your daily sodium limit if you add ketchup to smoked, cured, salted or canned meat, fish or fowl. Continuous use of such products adds the risk of hypertension and other cardiac diseases. So, there are multiple reasons to avoid Heinz and additional heavily processed ketchup for your health and well-being. The merger between Kraft and Heinz made it one of the biggest food companies in the world. However, this agreement raised many questions in people's minds. The deal between Kraft Heinz and Unilever, good business or wrong move? Kraft Heinz attempt to merger with Unilever sent shockwaves through the FMCG industry. It would have resulted in one of the biggest M&A deals of all time. Despite initial news resulting in a record share price for the UK-based FMCG giant, it has so far rejected the approach. Regarding large mergers, Kraft Heinz has much experience. The firm was created because of a £37 billion merger between Kraft and Heinz that took place only in 2015. In 2010, Kraft obtained Cadbury for £11.5 billion after making an aggressive offer and after promising to keep one of the chocolates manufacturer's UK plants running, controversially closing it down. Clive Black of Shore Capital asserts that Kraft Heinz benefited from the decision much more than Unilever did. He explains Unilever is the reverse, while Kraft Heinz is structurally troubled and has several issues with its product portfolio. Although there are similarities in the food industry, their portfolios are divergent, and Black believes that it's obvious they are now running completely separate businesses. In contrast to Kraft Heinz, Unilever is seeking to move away from categories exposed to high sugar and salt levels. This transaction speaks a lot more about Kraft Heinz fragility and opportunism than it does about any willingness on the part of Unilever, which might view the approach as an insult. The 2015 merger between Kraft and Heinz formed one of the biggest food companies in the world. It had $20 billion in combined annual revenues and made multiple innovations in the product list. Unfortunately, the mergers could not bring the desired results. Today's mega merger, however, is merely a headache. Kraft Heinz took a $15.4 billion write-down in February and lowered the value of its assets by an additional $1.22 billion last month. Security regulators are peeking into its accounting, and after an internal investigation exposed employee misconduct, Kraft Heinz said it would restate its financials for 2016 and 2017. The Kraft Heinz deal has created billions of dollars in paper losses for investors. The company's stock has plummeted 51% in the last year. Last week, 3G sold more than 25 million shares, bringing its stake in the company down by almost 10%. Heinz, the multi-billion-dollar company, completely dominated every market it ever entered. Its founders burned the midnight oil to take it to new heights. However, pursuing number one in the market turned the company's progressive objectives into some evil doings. But isn't this what all multi-billion-dollar corporations do on a daily basis? Make sure to let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to like today's video. Subscribe to the channel as an offering to the gods of the algorithm. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.